And the cats
in the cradle, silver spoon.
Little boy
blue,
blue, and the man in the moon. I don't know when.
Welcome to the Hotel California. Do.
Source not found. Not found.
Welcome to Source Not Found, a podcast about the worst versions of your favorite things. Every other week, we take an IP, franchise, or fandom and examine it solely through the sequels, side projects, and spin-offs. Basically, everything except for the source material. My name is Bo Woodall, and when activated, pay 1 egg to gain 2 hosts from the pod feeder.
And I'm Brandon June, and I'm still trying to figure out if I'm a boobies guy or a tits guy.
I have nothing.
Somebody had to. Somebody had to.
I
do
thought
it.
I was going to be able to come up with another fucking bird joke, but I couldn't do it, man.
Peckers.
Woodpeckers.
Shags.
Tits.
It's obscene.
Boobs.
It's obscene.
There's a bunch there, gang.
Speaking of, and on that topic, I have a fun game for later.
I'm so excited.
Stay seated, folks.
But it's still June, so it's still Dad Month. And so what we decided was to do the worst thing to a dad hobby we possibly could. We decided
a video game,
not just make it a video game, but we took the video game version of a board game version of an outdoor dad hobby. Suck it, dads.
A photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a dad.
Yeah, I mean, this is
what remains.
This is like 3D printing a steak and putting it on the grill. Like this is everything a dad could dislike about us taking their hobby and messing about with it. But with that, just talking about what we're actually doing, this week we are looking into the video game version of Wingspan, a board game based entirely around birds and birding. Which, spoilers from my end of things, is a lot more exciting of a game than it sounds.
I enjoyed it. I did. I'd never played the tabletop game. Had you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have the tabletop game. We have every expansion, and we have the recently released version of it that was redesigned to focus around dragons called Wormspan.
Oh.
Different mechanics, same designers, same developers.
That's cool. I'll have to look into that. I like deck builders. Little spoiler. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, this
is my kind of game.
Like engine building games where you get to focus on your own board and basically try to beat yourself as opposed to beat another player. Always just hit right for me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't want to say too much. We're going to get into all the subtopics that we usually cover with games, but it was just refreshingly serene, I want to say.
Yeah.
There are some things, there aren't a whole lot to like fuck with your opponents. They're mostly just things to benefit from their actions for yourself.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's just it's a cozy ass game. It really is.
It is very, very cozy. This is a video game now. And at recording, it has recently been announced that it will be released for console play. PlayStation especially made the announcement recently.
Okay.
Nice. That it's going to go not just portable and PC, which it is currently on. I played it on the Switch. I'm not sure about you.
I also got it on the Switch. And I'm so glad I did because, we'll get to it in gameplay.
Yeah. So it's currently available on Steam and Switch, and now they're tossing it toward consoles as well. But it's been kind of a hit, and since it is a video game, we will be doing our normal 5-tier rating system of narrative, gameplay, visuals, sound, and fun factor.
And I am going to be rating this as a video game. So we are going to talk about the core foundation, which is a tabletop game by way of a video game.
Correct. Yeah, this is being judged judged on its merits as a video game, not merits as a board game.
Yeah, that will come into play.
Before we get into it, I do have to ask, what's your experience, if any, with birding?
Birding. I've never bird verbed.
Cool.
I'm aware of birds as nouns that exist around me. I've never verbed a bird.
You've never verbed a bird? What? I mean, honestly, that's probably good. That's a t-shirt. Merch option. I've never verbed a bird.
Bird, word.
Herditor.
Hey, Burr, why don't you go?
don't do the weird Goosebumps fucking meme from 2006.
Oh my god, yeah. Take over, please. It's time. Take control.
My father-in-law is a serious birder. Someone who bird watches and does photography and studies them, and it's like some hardcore naturalist stuff that is really, really fascinating. And he has taken me birding a few times. Anytime we've gone on like a vacation or something like that, he's tried to introduce me to it. And dude, it's kind of like Pokemon Snap, but not on in video game.
Now, did you say that because of talking about ruining hobbies? Like bringing video games into the dad hobby?
I actually told him that it felt like I was playing Pokemon.
Yeah. How did he respond?
Confusedly, but in a positive way.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Like, as long as you're enjoying it, I don't care what you're relating it to, sort of way.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter that I was like, man, this is like a real life video game. It was more like, oh, so you're actually having a good time with this hobby that I enjoy. Perfect. That's awesome. That's great.
Because like that's how I would feel if I introduced somebody to something that I was passionate about, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, they're making a connection to something they know and like, and bringing that in. Cool. Even if it is like, wait, what? That's what you're thinking about? I mean, sure, fine. Whatever gets you in the door or out the door, into the trees.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there are some wild instances where we're going through the Yucatan Peninsula, and the guy who is guiding us through is a conservationalist in the area. He is like a big eco group that's trying to save the reef in the area and also any sort of endangered indigenous wildlife. Like, super cool guy.
Yeah.
But he is taking us down these back roads and having us look through trees to try to find birds that like maybe like 15, 20 people see a season. It's really, really cool. Like, it's basically going through Route 5 and automatically hitting a Pikachu. Like, it feels so right. Like, there's only a 1.5% drop rate on that bad boy. And man, it feels so right when you're like, holy shit, I see it right there. Get a good picture of that. Nobody make a sound. Nobody move too fast. It's right there. And it's pretty neat.
So you know something about the hobby. I'm curious because I know like I think it's like the Audubon Society. They do like, I want to say like crowdsourced what like basically bird censuses or something every year, right? Where they have people like go out in their neighboring vicinity and sort of like look for certain birds and try and like keep track of what's around them and report that data.
Sure.
Is there like an app now or something, or some way that somebody's trying to gamify this?
Yes,
this hobby?
kind of.
That's out there, right?
I have the app because of our experiences in the Yucatan, and then Ramsey Canyon, Arizona is where my father-in-law does a lot of his birding right now because it's this weird migratory hotspot. Sorry, that was just blah. But there are two apps. One is called Merlin and one is called eBird. And they both kind of track like what birds you see, where you see, what the like endangered status is of the bird, how often they fly through this area. I mean, again, it's a weird Pokemon style thing. Like, what are the chances of me seeing a bird in this particular area? And they're like very, very low chance. This bird is very rarely seen in this area, but it has been seen here before. And you're like, so there's a chance. Sort of thing, you know, like.
Yeah.
So there are apps to track it. Obviously, things like the Audubon Society and Nat Geo and things like that. And then a lot of birders are also very gifted photographers, like my father-in-law.
I follow him.
Yeah, I
Great
mean,
work.
I've got two of his pictures that hang in my office, and we have a calendar on our wall every year that he designs. And it's really, really impressive, the passion and work that goes into not just being a birder, but also kind of being a conservationalist with that. Like, because a lot of these guys go through national parks and provide like guided tours to help novices become interested in not just the birds, but also the environment around them, and keeping it protected, keeping it clean, and keeping it safe. Sorry, guys, I am so sorry for being so earnest. That is so.
I love it.
I haven't dropped a curse in several sentences. How strange.
Quick, somebody name a bird.
Yeah, no kidding. Booby. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my experience, and it's really it's genuinely meant a lot to me in the past couple of years.
And that's awesome. You know, I mean, I'm a big hiker, which I think you know.
Yeah.
And so I love getting out there, but I don't know. I would like to try it one of these days. I'm already out there looking around. Maybe just keep an eye out for birds.
So I also have one other short anecdote, and this may be the reason that I took it so seriously. This happened after our trip to the Yucatan. It was the first time I'd ever been introduced to birding or what birding was. So, like, I had my little notebook with me. It was a guided tour showing us these endangered birds and stuff like this. We were getting some really great pictures. My father-in-law was super into it and having a great time. We came home, and about 2 months later, a company called The Escape Game, like, they just do escape rooms in Nashville, right? I mean, they have national escape rooms now all over the country, but they started in Nashville and Berry Hill. But there for a while, they were releasing online monthly mysteries, where it was like a series of puzzles that you had to solve. And if you did, you had a chance to win a prize. And initially, they did the first person to solve all the puzzles got a prize. So, like, the first prize was like a 65-inch TV. The next prize was like a Nintendo Switch. The month that I took place, the prize was a brand new iPad Pro. And it was entirely based around camping, this monthly mystery. All of them were themed. And they had like 30 slots, and each slot had a bird call. And they had 50 bird names. And you had to match the bird call to the bird name.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you could ask my wife, Kaylin, if she remembers this. For like 3 hours, I was in it deep. Like, I was on the Merlin app. I was looking up different, just like families of birds and qualifying like how their call sounded. And so, like, I worked my ass off on this and ended up being the first person to complete it. Ended up winning the iPad.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
What? I didn't know about this. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was super. I still have the iPad. It's still like it still is great, and I use it, and I still have the card from the people at Escape Game who were like, we don't understand how you did the bird calls as fast as you did the bird calls, but congratulations. And it's just like, it was just one of those stupid things where my weird hyper fixated brain just jumped into it and was like, oh no, I like birds. I like birds a lot now. Shit. Well, this is what it's going to be for me moving forward. I guess I just dig birds.
Yeah. I mean, it all sounds awesome. It is a hobby that I'm not wanting for hobbies.
Oh no,
I'm wanting for time.
Yeah.
And this seems like a time-consuming one. I would love to try it, though.
It seems to me, based on discussions with my father-in-law, it really seems like it's not just time intensive, but it also is cost intensive and travel intensive.
Sure. Yeah.
So like that's just not something I can do right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a novice and I can walk around and be like, oh shit, a green heron, totally cool, gotta get a picture of it, sort of thing. But there's no way I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go hunting for, you know, super, super rare birds in Ecuador anytime soon.
You know, maybe I'll just like dip my toes in next time I'm out on the trail. Like, hey, look, there's a bird. I see a bird over there. That bird's got a longer beak than the other bird I saw. That bird's brown. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a spoiler, but at the end of the episode today, I actually interviewed Cordine Core, not just my father-in-law, but also a birder and photographer. And he actually got started birding and photography, like taking photos of birds in Japan. That's where the
oh, no kidding.
That's where the passion struck. So it's a good place to start, because he fell into it real deep when he was out there. So
yeah, everyone definitely stick around today. We've got some great, right from the source.
Yeah,
some dad advice.
Yeah, this is
some insights.
Like I said, I'm strangely earnest about the topic on this one. Now, getting to the video game.
Yeah, I was gonna say not bird watching, bird
playing.
Doing.
So,
and we're doing a lot. You do a lot in this game. There's a lot to manage.
So we're gonna start with narrative. I'm gonna start here.
Yeah, go for it.
The narrative. I'm super confused by this because so there are so many different deities and options that you have. Like, I know you're tarnished, but I don't know what tarnished means. And it is a big struggle that you start off with all of these different scores, and as you level up and gain runes, apparently, but there's no real indication of what the runes represent. And I don't know. I know it's supposed to be written by George R.R. Martin, and that's fine. But there's just so much here that I feel like I am bogged down by the story in the game. Does that make sense?
It is. It's kind of obtuse, but I guess if you think about like how birds sometimes choose a different mate, so like Marika had a mate, sort of like a lion bird, but then cast him out of the nest and got a different mate. But that bird also was already paired up with
I thought they were the same
sorceress mate. Well, yeah, there are different interpretations to what the bird really is. So you're also playing Elden Ring.
So much, man. It's so bad. I am so deep.
Yeah, I'm deep in the DLC. Well, I'm not deep in the DLC. I've put a lot of time in the DLC. We can't do this. We can't do this.
We can't do this. We can't do this. But
we love doing the show. We love all of you. Thank you, listeners. I will be complete transparency. I would rather be playing Elden Ring right now, but it's not just this. It's not just you. Insert any task. I'd rather be in Elden Ring.
I was going to say, like, work. Like, my day job. Sorry, that's not happening. A TV show. Yeah. No, I'm good. A phone call from my mother. I love you, Ma. Sorry. Elden Ring is calling my name.
Yeah. But no, it must resolve. Wingspan, 4. 4 from me.
4. Okay. I went with a 5.5.
Okay. Do you want to tell me why?
Because there isn't a story except for the one that I create in my head.
What is that story? Is that what we just got a taste of?
No. That was just me being goofy and doing a bit. But the story that I create for myself is you are God, effectively, of your board.
Uh-huh.
You are creating an environment. You're creating... I'm not going to call it a zoo because I don't like that at all. That's not great. It's not a great thing for me to think about. But you're creating like a geoscape, effectively. Mm-hmm. and you're populating it with birds of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
So in choosing the birds that I choose, I am also creating a story that I'm telling myself as to why I'm creating them this way. Not to mention the fact that every card that I play also has a story it's telling. Like, why does the bronze cowbird only lay eggs in other birds' nests? Like, we know why. Because, well, birders know why,
you
especially.
Know why, birder.
Yeah. Ah, shit.
I don't know why. Just like that's what the bird does. There's a reason.
Yeah, the bird, like a cowbird will sneak its eggs into other birds' nests, and its eggs will be raised by that bird and fed by that bird. And I don't know, like I create stories to tell, and that's the reason it's just over halfway for me. Like
that's pretty telling.
Yeah.
You did a lot of work on your end, and it's still 5.5.
Yeah.
Because you're picking up a lot of the slack.
Yeah.
For me, I know what it is. It's a tabletop deck builder game. There is no story. And that's fine. And so to me now, it's as a video game, I don't need an explicit narrative. But this game is so bare bones. There's no like tournament mode. This is gameplay stuff, but this would directly relate to like, you didn't give me anything. There's no kind of progression, not even just like a team of rivals to take down. Like if you're just going to think about it as a game, if you want to think about it diegetically, like you are, where you're like god of this biome, then maybe do something there. But there's just nothing. It's just like play 4 rounds and then move on, like play a game. And that's it. And then it's over and you're back to the menu. There's nothing there. And
right. Yeah.
Maybe, I guess there was nothing there in the tabletop game, but like you have a duty now to like, you were selling me a different product and like just to have something, man. Like I'm not asking for much. Like I said, like a tournament mode or just like some kind of like moving up the ranks of like birders or bird gods or however you want to play it diegetically, play it just like we're all playing a tabletop card game. But the fact that there was nothing, it can't pass. But it's not like, I don't want to drop it too low because at the end of the day, like, I guess what is there, we get a lot of nice bird information. We get a nice factoid about a bird every time we play a new bird, every time we discover a new bird in the deck, and that's fun. I learned some things.
Yeah.
So that works. We get the bird call and other things like that. That's more of a sound thing, but there's stuff there to learn about birds, and I guess that's narrative.
Sure.
It works.
I didn't think about the purely educational aspect of it being narrative. Had I would probably raise the score up, but I'm not going to because I feel like my experience so far playing it, I hadn't taken that in consideration.
I was just looking for anything like, there's nothing here. What can I say?
Something I do want to toss out that maybe, I don't know if it would change an opinion on either of our sides, but I kind of look at it like a pseudo roguelike. Like, it's not just that you're not getting, or like, look at it like a Mario Party. Like, you don't gain experience or more abilities from Mario Party. Yeah, I mean, like, the games will change and stuff like that, but they're all, 30 seconds to 2 minutes long. Where in this case, like, at least the way I play it, I am playing to beat my previous high score. Like, that is my goal. Yeah. It is not just to beat the other people or other bots or whatever. Depending on how you play it, you could be playing it with friends or just against AI. My goal is to do better than I did last time, which is very much a roguelike feeling. Like, how can I make this run better?
Yeah.
With different stuff, except for the fact in this case, like there's not like individual characterization and stuff unless you consider the birds characters, which is holy shit, wild.
Or like the player avatars. That's the thing. Even with like a roguelike, there's something to get me in the door narratively. Like it might not be much, but like there's a goal eventually. Here it's just win this current game against this current opponent, and there's no consistency there either. Like half of them are human, some of them are like sort of more humanoid or like anthropomorphized animals. They're not even all birds. It's just all over the place.
I made a very, very specific decision on my avatar based on my own mindset. I was the crow with a top hat because he felt like a bird god.
Oh, yeah. I'm the little duck guy. I just think he's cute.
My wife Kaylin plays as the platypus.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very cute. But yeah, I mean, all that makes sense. There's not much narrative there, but what is there, you extrapolate for yourself, and you create whatever you can create from it, right?
Yeah, it's like when we've talked about platformers and stuff in the past. Like, okay, the bar is very low, but I need something, and like what that criteria changes a lot, and so it's not really asking for much. Like, I just wanted something more than just play a single game against a single opponent and then do that again from the menu.
All right. What about gameplay? What do you think?
Gameplay, I give it a 6.
A 6. Interesting. I went with a 7.
Okay.
Most of that is because of how exceedingly accessible it feels on a touch screen. Like I also played it on my TV. Like I played it on the handheld Switch with the touch screen abilities, and then I played it with just a controller as well to see how it felt.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a little clunky, just controller, until you like play it 2 or 3 times, and then you realize, like any other game, how the controls function.
Yeah, it took me a minute.
But playing it on the handheld with the touchscreen and being able to drag the cards around and
that
make
is nice.
Choices like that felt clean and pretty good.
I did a mix. I did most of it by way of button presses, but definitely like every time I played a bird, wanted to pull, like I'm not crazy about the D-pad beneath the Joy-Con analog stick.
Yeah.
But that was very nice for the touchscreen. It's just kind of like an awkward button press there to pull them up, but touchscreen made up for that. That was nice. Yeah, for me, I kind of got into it a little bit. There's just nothing here. Like if I'm just judging it as a tabletop game, I think it's like 8 or 9. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a interesting, well-balanced game. I mean, I guess we should cover it for people who haven't played it. I was one of them. Just like real quick, it is a deck builder game.
Or engine building, depending on how you phrase it. Whatever it is, like you control your own board.
Yeah, I guess maybe I might be using the wrong term. I don't know, because I'm not like too well versed in. There's probably more specific terms.
So deck building normally ends up being where you end up having a deck of cards that you play from, like your own
which
personal,
to a certain degree.
Right? You have your own personal deck that you create that you play from. Where in this case, you take cards from the deck and you play them on a mat to create a resource engine.
Okay, I guess I'm not. I should probably get up on my terminology then. I just thought about deck builders as like anytime I'm drawing multiple cards and sort of like building a hand myself. Okay, so engine building then. Learned something new today. Awesome.
I consider it engine building. I think that's correct.
Okay. Maybe you'd be better at this, but building like a hand, your own personal little deck assortment of birds and things to play, and just basically populating. You mentioned it before. You've got 3 biomes basically.
Correct. You've got the grasslands, the forest, the grasslands, and the wetlands, and each biome can hold birds specific to that biome. Some birds can be in multiple biomes. Some birds can only be in a specific biome, and each bird takes a certain type of food to play that bird.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also get into a secondary resource that is eggs. As you play more birds on your mat, you have to sacrifice eggs to play birds. It seems like a pretty basic engine building, resource intensive solo game. But where it becomes, for me, more interesting is not only in the sheer number of different birds. I think currently there are over 600 bird cards that they've released for the tabletop game.
I was going to say, I think I had like 300 or 350 or so. I just had the base game. So yeah, I can imagine.
It's a bunch. It may even be more than 600 at this point because they have 3 expansions. Oceania, Asia, and Europe.
Yeah.
And so your goal is to take your mat, to play birds on your mat, and to create efficient resource gathering engines, and also take into consideration the fact that each bird is worth a certain amount of points. You have bonus cards that give you more points based on the type of birds you play, or the type of food that you use, or how many food you have at the end of the game.
And it was so much fun. I was just constantly thinking and moving between these three environments, right? Because go into the forest, that's where you're gathering your food, and that's all you can do up there.
Yeah.
Other than like play birds and benefit from other like sort of passive buffs that they've gotten. Then like you go to the grasslands, that's where you're laying your eggs, and then you go down to the waterfront, and that's where you're drawing your cards. And it is a constant like, I'm constantly making like really tough decisions. Like, oh man, do I want to like be proactive and lay up some eggs on the front end and have those stocked up? No, I think I want to go up and get some food and maybe play a couple birds that are going to like passively maybe get more food from the bird feeder, and have that going. It's so much fun to just like jump around and like so many options. There's so much depth to it. The more I played, it's very addicting.
Yeah.
The more I played, the deeper it kept going, because you have the end of round goals as well.
Yes.
That constantly change every time you start a new match, a new game against an opponent. You have a different set of like, oh, this time in round one, whoever has the most eggs in the grasslands will win that round and get some bonus points. And in this game, oh, maybe in round two this time, it's going to be like who has more like cards tucked behind birds, or like who has more food stocked up, more in the cache. It constantly changes and adapts and gives you new ways to play and think about the game. So again, like on that metric, yeah, I don't really have much to say. Where I knock this game is, while I love the base game, it seems well balanced, and I guess they want me to play it the way they want me to play it. There are rules to this game. But what if I want to play it my way and there are no options? Yeah. I could not extend the length of a match. I could not add more rounds. I could not create like a tier of opponents to go through, like any kind of like ladder system. I couldn't do anything. The only thing I can do is toggle the way they count the end of round goals. That's the only option I have for changing the way to play the game.
You can change how difficult your opponents are.
Well, yeah, but I mean, okay.
But I mean,
sure.
that
and you can also do this thing called automata, which is wild, like to go into the menu and they give you a tutorial. And they will explain everything in the game, even like basic stuff that like anybody would seemingly know. And then for some reason, they have this option called automata. I have no idea what that means. And there is no explanation. I had to go Googling to even figure out what this is, which is like basically a way to play the game solo against like, it's not against AI. It's like a way, like if you were to play it, like I guess you do this with a tabletop game, like play solitaire.
There is automata in the tabletop game. And you can play solo, basically, effectively against yourself, sort of thing. But yeah, one other thing to mention about the game itself that we didn't mention: when you use one of the things like gain food, lay eggs, or draw bird cards, when you do that, every bird you've played in that habitat can be activated if they have a power that can be activated. So, like, you can draw 2 food. Or gain 2 food and then go over to the next bird, and that bird says you get to gain a wheat from the bird feeder if it's available. And the next one is like all players gain 1 cherry from the supply. And so instead of just gaining 2 food, by the time you're done, you gain 4. And it's when you can do something like that and double the resource gain that is expected, you feel like that's pretty good.
Satisfying.
It's so satisfying. Did you get to see a raven in your games?
I got a raven, yeah.
The common or the chihuahua one?
I remember I definitely got the common raven.
The one that you sacrifice 1 egg and you get 2 foods of your choice from the supply. It's like the most OP card in the history of board games or video games. Just like you put him in the grasslands where you draw eggs automatically, and then you don't just get eggs, you also get to gain food. So you don't even have to worry about the grasslands at all unless you just deign it necessary.
Oh, baby, let me tell you what. You got him, and then you have something else that like automatically lays eggs depending on certain actions. So you just have like a constant egg supply, and then he's benefiting from it. And that's the thing. it's a well balanced game. They don't last too long. I mean, you can think on your moves for a while, but it's short and sweet. You got 4 rounds to play with, and you got to be quick because they go by in a flash. But I would set up all these pieces and like, man, I just would love to see how this would maybe like stack, given another round or two. But I'm not able to see how that plays out. And like, at least in a tabletop game, you're always in control. Like, there's the way you're supposed to play. There's the rule book, but like, you're sitting across the table from someone like, hey, do you want to try playing like 6 rounds?
Yeah.
Or 8 instead of what it's telling us to do? But you can't do that. And I wanted that.
I get it.
But again, like as a game, it's very addicting. I only got a Switch in the last year. I've never been like a lunch break gamer, but in recent, like really just like in the last year, there are certain days where like I have a longer break than usual. And if I have all my personal work done, I've got some free time.
Yeah.
And the Switch is really like, I've been looking for games that, can I play something for like 10 or 20 minutes? And it's tough to find one that like perfectly, most games like, oh, with the startup time, by the time I'm in there, it's time to go back to work. This is at a good level of length where
it fits a really good little spot, huh?
Even just like while I'm eating, like, having to go in the background, like, okay, I'm thinking on this, I'm taking a bite, chewing. All right, what's next? It is a good lunch break game.
Yeah.
It is.
It feels really good when you play the tabletop as well, because the tabletop game plays like an hour and a half for a full game. Where if you play this on the Switch, you can knock a round out in 20 minutes. Okay, so let's go visuals.
6.
I went with 7.5.
Okay.
But I also got the 2 expansions, and so I got to see some of like the extra backgrounds and bird art and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I have dreamt some of the bird movements. It feels like oh my god. What is the type of cinema where it almost seems like it's paper cut and like things are on hinges? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you just like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Like the way the
South
bird,
Park, South Park,
kind of South Park,
did this to a degree, but not that vibe. But yes,
but so much
like
more detailed and like
yes.
artistic. Yeah, but yeah, that's exactly right. Like when you play certain birds, like they'll show up and they're beautifully rendered, and then they start moving.
Mm-hmm.
And like
really nice.
They're all hinged in really fun ways, and it just looks it looks very dreamscape.
It's nice. It is, because it does have the effect of being like paper cut pieces hinged together and moving, but in a fashion that like also evokes, I don't know my birds, but to me it's like, oh, that reads as a bird action, as a bird movement that bird would make. I loved the birds. They looked great. They were nicely animated. A lot of the UI is pretty nice. I had some issues with like how, like the sizing of certain things. Like sometimes it's like hard to read an icon. Like, now I get it. I'm playing the majority of it. I'm playing handheld mode on Switch.
Right.
But given that, like every once in a while I did have a squint and I have good eyesight. So like, and I'm just looking at like the way you chose to balance things on the screen maybe. And also just, there are some things I actively disliked about the art. The birds look nice. The color palette is very nice. It's very soothing. Again, just like this is a very cozy game. We have like parchment. We have forest greens. We have very cozy, soothing colors. The human characters they're fucking heinous. They look bad.
I honestly didn't even look at them.
I mean, just like the avatars across the board, I did not think good. Did not think good. I did not think were good.
Me no think good.
They have like that look of like, children's coloring books, like Highlight Magazine. Like it's all like contours and like just blocks of color, like light shading, but it doesn't really vibe with like the more detailed, realistic birds. And some of them are just like the first person you meet, for me, I did the tutorial because I didn't know how to play. What is her name? You meet the forest ranger.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I did
Robin?
the tutorial as well, just so I could see what it looked like.
She looks like Slappy the dummy from Goosebumps.
Yeah, it's not good.
With like Daphne from Scooby-Doo hair. Like Daphne solved the mystery. She unmasked old mean Mr. Jenkins, the grumpy old park ranger, who dressed up as like the evil doll man to make everyone think the forest was haunted.
Yeah, it was bad.
Dressed up herself and they just don't look good. And I just wanted more consistency in the art style, or at least like, make them look good if they're going to look different. I didn't think they looked good.
Fair.
And again, there's not much to judge. Like, you don't have that much here. Like, you're obviously animating a lot of birds. But again, like, I'm not asking for a whole lot. Just like give me a sort of cohesive, holistic visual design that all looks good. That's all of a piece. Some of it was more painterly. Some of it was more not quite photorealistic, but more detailed, more realistic. Some of it was just outright cartoonish. It was just all over the place.
There were many instances where, for me, it read Pastoral James and the Giant Peach, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like flattened, good claymation is how I was reading a lot of the animation and a lot of the art. And it struck a real good bone in my body. But you're right, the human beings were rough and a half.
It's not a big deal, but I mean, I'm just trying to be critical. Like on birds alone, I think it's like a 9 or a 10. The birds look great, but since there's not a whole lot to think about, like the fact that part of the visuals actively looked bad to me, like that's enough. It still passes, but
that's enough to bring it down.
Yeah.
Sound.
I went with
a 9.
Yeah, I think I want to bump it up to an 8 the more I'm thinking about it. Because, like, the bird sounds are nice. I like the bird calls.
So, for me, it's not just the bird calls. For me, the soundtrack of this game
is nice.
So soothing and fits the game. And, like, I've played it on repeat a couple of times since playing the game because I didn't know it existed. Like, we had friends over and actually played the tabletop game and just played the soundtrack, and it felt so right. Like, it's really, really good. And the bird calls are great. And like the parchment sounds that they toss in there are good. Yeah. Like, it's not a 10 because it's not, Final Fantasy VII victory theme or, something like that. That's just going to stay with me for the rest of my life. But I didn't hit an aspect of the sound that didn't fit the game perfectly. It's just
that's
not,
a good point.
It just doesn't go down in the history books for me as like best soundtrack ever.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. But actually, I'm glad. Solid 8 for me. Because, it was just perfectly like, it recedes into the background mostly, but it's still there as like a soundtrack. It's just really nice ambient sound. And you get the forest sounds or the grassland sounds. You get birds chirping in the background. You get like the rustle of leaves. And those really nice. The parchment sound is very nice. Yeah. The menu sound. So it's good. It's good sound.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a whole bunch. Lastly, we are looking at fun factor.
Yeah, I want to say I was struggling with this one. Let's say 8.5.
I went with an 8.5 as well, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think, again, if I were rating the tabletop game, I would give it like a 9. I really enjoy the gameplay loop. It's just, it's missing stuff. It's missing stuff that a video game version should have, which knocks it down. But in spite of that, for what was there, I had a lot of fun. I did.
Yeah, I've played the tabletop game so many times. I am surprisingly, guys, I swear to God, I'm really not an asshole, but like, I'm surprisingly pretty good at the tabletop version of the game. My record's pretty good. I think between me and my wife and my in-laws and our friends that played it, we've probably played like a good couple hundred rounds of Wingspan.
I think I've probably put in about, I want to say between 20 and 30 games myself,
I think
since picking this up.
On the Switch, I think I've played maybe 10 or 15.
Okay.
And there is an aspect to it that I enjoy more than the tabletop version because it moves so much faster. I don't have a chance to get all of my strategy in place. Yeah. And that is kind of fun for me. Like, I feel like I have to think more on my feet because I'm not waiting on other people to make their own decisions. The AI is just going. Like Kaylin and I have also played side by side, handing the controller back and forth, which you can do on this.
Right.
And the trick is, and this is very specific to this game and not the tabletop, but once your turn is over, you don't get to keep an eye on your board. You don't get to keep thinking about, oh, what can I do next? Your board is off the screen. It's somebody else's turn. Where when you play the tabletop version, while everybody else is making their move, you are looking at the bird cards that are available to draw, what's in the bird feeder, and your board, and going, okay, what is my next play?
Yeah, right.
And you just don't get to do that in this. And it really makes you think on your feet a lot faster. And I really like it.
So, source?
Definitely.
I said before, I want to source the tabletop game. Now, sourcing birds more generally, I don't know. I think I'm you know what? I'm aware of the hobby. Like, you were talking about your father-in-law. I follow him on social media. I love his photographs. I've been curious, never to the degree that I've ever actually looked into doing it, but this game certainly gave me another little nudge in the direction of maybe go out there and try looking at some birds sometime. So I think this game helped, whether or not I sourced it or not. The game did its best.
Yeah.
It's the best shot anybody had to get me out there. So it's a source for me. Maybe someday I'll go birding.
And every now and again, you get a really weird fucking bird fact. Like some of them we know from some of them you know from elementary school. Like the peregrine falcon, when it dives from the sky, can reach speeds upwards of 200 miles per hour. And we're like, yeah, that's the fastest animal in the world. We learned that in elementary school. But then it's like, this bird can pick up a full raccoon and eat it later. And you're like, holy shit, really? A full raccoon? That's wow.
I remember the first time I saw a golden eagle.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I didn't know birds could do that. Pick up a fucking goat. And just drop it off a cliff and then go down.
That's some Jurassic Park pterodactyl shit, man.
Yeah, like, oh, you did evolve out of that. Goddamn. So birds are weird, aren't they?
Birds are weird and super cool.
Birds get a little weird with it. You know what gets really weird? The people who name birds. They're fucked.
Oh, here we go.
I got a game for you.
Okay.
I got a game for all of you. Everyone can play along. A little game I created.
I'm shaking it off right now.
Shake it out. Get those neurons connecting. This game is called Real Birdie Birds or Just Dirty Words. So I have a list of 40 bird names that I threw together. About half of them are real birds, and about half of them are birds that I created.
Awesome.
So let's see how many you can spot as the fakes.
Okay, let's do it.
Ready?
Let's go through this.
Hoary Rumped Warbler.
Fake.
That's fake. Horned Screamer.
Real?
Real. Chattering Scrub.
Real.
That's a fake.
Damn it.
Superb Swallow.
Fake.
That's a fake. Goat Sucker.
Fake. That's a chupacabra.
That's real.
Really? Fascinating.
Tinkling Cisticola.
Real?
That's real. Cream Speckled Whisker Tits.
Please be real, but it's probably fake. I'm gonna go fake.
That's a fake one.
Yeah.
That's me. Fluffy Backed Tit Babbler.
Please be real. I'm gonna go fake though. Gotta be fake.
That's real.
God damn it.
Great Tits.
Real.
That's real. Pendulum Tits.
Fake.
That's real.
God damn it.
Chipper Tits.
Fake.
That's a fake.
Yep.
Somber Tits.
Oh no. I'm gonna go real?
That's real. Rowdy Tits.
Gonna go fake.
That's a fake.
Yeah.
Macaroni Tits.
Oh no. Like every part of me screams fake, but I know there's the people named macaroni, so I'm gonna go real.
That's a fake. That's a
God
me.
damn it!
Dick Sissel.
Real.
That's real. Andy and Tootsie.
Real.
Fake.
Damn it.
Sonorous Gobbler.
Real.
That's a fake.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it
Sooty
when I said-
Peewee.
Wait, what was it?
Sooty Peewee.
Real.
Fake.
God damn.
Spangled Drongo.
Real.
That is real.
Yeah.
Banana
Okay.
Quit.
Can you spell quit?
Quit.
So banana Quit?
Yeah,
Real?
that's real. Chin stripped beach bully.
No. Fake.
That's a fake. I thought I might be pushing it with that one.
I'm imagining a beach bully with the beard that is just from the sideburns to the chin.
Yeah. The thing is, most of my fake ones are composed of real bird components.
Some of the fake ones you've given
birds.
so far have actually fucked with me a little bit.
Red-tipped night stripper.
Night stripper. Fake.
That's a fake. Perplexing scrub wren.
So I know scrub wrens are a thing. Perplexing. I'm gonna go real.
That's real.
Cool.
Tawny-tailed pussin.
Real.
Fake.
Damn it. Tawny.
Rosy-faced Clooney.
You got me with fucking Tawny.
Rosy-faced Clutie.
CLOODY?
TIE.
TIE. Fake.
That's a fake. Sandy Galito.
Real.
That's a real one. Rough-faced shag.
Real.
Real. Red-rumped bush tyrant.
Man, I know for a fact that's what some alpha males call themselves. My friends call me a fucking bush tyrant. I'm gonna go with fake.
That's real. Birds are fucked. Nut-cracking dodio.
Dodio. I don't know a dodio, so I'm gonna go fake.
That's fake. Yeah, see, you actually know bird species. So that makes this a little tougher. Tiny sky tyrant.
Real.
That's real.
Yep.
Roswell Rudd.
RUDD?
Mm-hmm.
Fake.
That's fake. That's a jazz musician. Smung.
Smung. Real.
Fake.
God damn.
Breck.
Breck?
Yeah.
God, that's the name of a millennial's child. Real.
Fake.
Yeah.
Smoo.
One of these has got to be real. I'm gonna go real.
That's the real one.
Okay, cool.
Tropical Boo Boo.
Real.
That is real. It might be Bobo, but Boo Boo sounded funnier. Sheeny Quend.
Fake.
That's fake. Northern Doobie-Doo.
I'm assuming that was written by an IMDb reviewer. Based on Mamma Mia's bass riffs. I'm gonna go fake.
That's fake. Undulated Tinamu.
Real.
That's real. Truculent Nut Bandit.
So he steals the nuts and then throws them out? Oh, no, you said trunculate, not truncated.
Truculent.
Truculent. Real.
That's fake.
God damn. You're really good
Wood
at this.
Nibbler.
Wood nibbler?
Wood Nibbler. Yeah.
Fake.
That's fake. You did well. You passed.
Oh, yeah, baby.
You passed. You passed the class. You know your birds.
God damn, dude, that was incredible. Oh, man. I'm going to have Bush Tyrant stuck in my head for days.
I didn't even have to come up with that one.
No, that was all Audubon adjacent or whatever.
I do really like macaroni tits. I'm proud of that
Macaroni
one.
tits.
Because like macaroni penguins are a thing.
But then you followed it up with somber tits. Like, oh, now he's sad.
What the fuck is wrong with them? What the fuck is wrong with them? Jesus Christ.
All from macaroni tits to red-rumped bush tyrants. Here at Source Not Found, we say, save the birds.
Always watch out for those vans full of tinkling cisticolas and check your toilets for sonorous gobblers and sooty peewees. Oh, no, actually, red-rumped bush tyrants, right? They're down there.
You really gotta check those toilets for red-rumped bush. I almost said bush wobblers. Fuck.
Sure, that's probably.
I've got
that's
so
probably
many random stupid fucking words in my head now. Wobblers, gobblers, tyrants, rump.
The one that threw me was
Smoot.
Sandy Galito. That's why I decided to just throw a random name in there just see if I get away with it. Like Sandy Galito. Sure.
I mean, honestly, you could have tossed in like fucking anything.
Sounds like my grandmother's friend that she met down at like bridge night at the retirement facility. That
Did I tell you what happened with
beige?
I was at dinner with Sandy Galito. She ordered extra breadsticks. She always does. And she lost her damn pearl earring in her spaghetti.
Got all flustered. Ended up just like tripping over herself. Pulled down her beige slacks and showed everyone her rosy-faced clootie.
I was so embarrassed you could have called me a red-rumped bush tyrant. This is absolutely unhinged.
Made my tits absolutely somber.
And then macaroni. Oh, God. Oh, fuck.
This is an adults-only show, kids. Adults
Yeah,
only.
no kidding.
18 plus.
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, so let's introduce your father-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, God. Fuck.
Yeah. No, seriously, stay around, everybody. We got a fun little segment for you.
Yeah, thanks for listening to our dumb shit. And check us out on Patreon, Source Not Found Podcast. We just played a rousing game of Magic the Daddering. And if you're a patron, you could decide who actually is the winner because we tied through 8 rounds and had to toss in a 9th one.
And speaking of patrons, it's the end of the month, which means shout outs to everyone at the Sorcerer's tier. You all rule. Thank you so much. Shout out to Jacob Spindell, Joey Bishop, Susie Daggs, 13th Horseman, and Frederick Viberg Vorhug.
Friendship.
You can check us out anywhere on social media or email. sourcenotfoundpod@gmail.com is our email address. Source Not Found Podcast everywhere else. Check out our Discord, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Drop us a line. Brandon is always playing good games on Twitch.
Mm-hmm. Come on by, twitch.tv/LejunBug, link down in the show notes. And game playthroughs that not all the games, but a lot of the games we cover on the show. Check them out on our YouTube channel, along with archives of the show.
Super cool. And please stick around after our dumbass sign off for a interview with a real birder, someone who actually knows what the hell he's talking about, and someone who is impressive to me. So from us here at Source Not Found, check your toilets for Freddy Krueger and watch out for all those clowns in white vans.
Stay tuned. Stay around.
Stay macaroni tits.
Thanks for even considering it real fast, but it's all bird stuff, so it'll be a pretty fun conversation. We are doing an entire episode on Wingspan.
Oh, okay.
Because this month is Father's Day, and so we're doing an entire month based on dad stuff.
Cool.
So, like, our first episode, we chose Clive Cussler, the author, and we did a movie based on one of his books from, like, the early 90s. And then we thought about the fact that one of the most stereotypical things for a lot of dads, especially when they hit retirement, is birding. But how do we do a media episode on birding? Come to find out, Wingspan has a Nintendo Switch version.
Really?
Yes. Kaylin has been playing like 4 games a day. She is loving it because you don't have to set anything up. You don't have to take anything down. You can just jump on and play. So we are covering for our last episode of June, we're covering Wingspan, the video game of the board game.
Cool.
So what I wanted to do was just get a little bit from someone who actually is a member of the birding community, because it is vibrant and intense sometimes. And so that's why I kind of wanted to maybe use an audio clip of why Wingspan is successful, why they turned it into a video game, why is this such a passion for certain people. So that being said, question 1. What initially drew you to birds or birding?
While I was living in Japan, I was taking photographs of primarily Japanese architecture, the temples and stuff like that. And my wife's boss was also a photographer, and we were talking, and he told me that he drove around Japan photographing birds out of the window of his car with a little tripod that mounted on the window. And I thought,
Cool.
well, that is really pretty cool.
Definitely.
And so at that point, I actually started noticing birds, because I'd never really thought much about it before. I never put a lot of credence in. I mean, they fly around and do what they do. But
Sure.
that actually got me interested in finding out a little bit about the birds and stuff that were around.
That's really
So
cool. I mean, you've kind of instilled that in me as well. Like, Kaylin and I can be walking down our path and we see, a green heron, and we're like, "Hey, look at that! I've got to take a picture of that real fast." It's almost instinctual now. Like, if we see a super cool bird, we're like, "Holy crap! I got to get that one."
Right.
So that's really, really incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that was the spark that actually got me started on birds.
It's like a weird oral tradition of hobby sort of thing, just like passed on from person to person, just like, here, let me give you interest in this thing via just like telling you about it. Okay, next, question 2, and I think I know the answer to this, but I think it'll be good for the audio as well. Where's your favorite place to bird and why?
I want to say Ramsey Canyon
I knew it.
for a couple of reasons. One, because I volunteer there and it's accessible. But 2, because of the biodiversity of the canyon itself, where 3 different regions converge into one. It produces flora and fauna from the Rocky Mountain region, the Sonoran Desert, and the Chihuahuan Desert. And all 3 of those then produce food sources for different types of birds. And being as close to Mexico as we are on their migratory path, all these birds from all 3 of those different regions converge at Ramsey Canyon. So we get more birds there than anywhere else, basically, in the United States. It's the diversity. And it's a really pretty canyon, and the weather there is always 5 degrees cooler than down in town.
Sure.
So it's just a great place to go and be.
Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've also encountered a pretty rare bird there too, right?
Yeah, actually a couple of them. One being the elegant trogon. People come from all over the United States to southeast Arizona to see that bird. And then there are a couple of hummingbirds that are extremely rare that come up into the Ramsey Canyon, southeast Arizona area that we get that no place else in the United States has.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen a few pictures of those hummingbirds, and I think I actually have a few pictures of those hummingbirds that are on a calendar that you sent us. And if you're okay with it, I would. Are you cool with me plugging your website?
No, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that's fine too. And then in saying that, the website is www.cin, the letter N, K, digitalimages.com. That's www. The letter C, the letter N, the letter K, digitalimages.com. Why do you think birding as a hobby is considered stereotypically dad?
When we retire, we need something to keep us busy. And there actually is a community of birders that are of that age, the 60 to 65 age. And it's people that have retired from a career, and they just need something to do with their time. And birding actually becomes a passion. It's not just a hobby. You start to learn that there's specific things about birds that you like, and then you start finding family groups of birds that you want to see, and then it becomes a competition. How many life birds can you get? How many year birds can you get?
That is something that I wanted to mention for the listeners out there. I was recently in the Philippines with Cordine, and we did a little bit of birding. And if I'm not mistaken, you did get over 100 life birds, correct?
Just 117. 117 life birds. Yep.
And for listeners and the uninitiated, what exactly is a life bird?
That's the first time you see and identify a bird of a specific species in your life.
That's
so there's
117. Holy moly!
Yes, yeah, it was a good trip. It was a very good trip.
That's incredible.
And they were all indigenous birds to that area too.
Oh right, yeah.
So that even made it more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you've traveled all over the world as well. Scandinavia. You said Japan, the Philippines, the States. Just the sheer amount of not only indigenous birds, but also just places and locales that you're able to visit in doing this passion / hobby has got to be rewarding by itself, right?
Sure. As you recall, when we did a cruise down in the Caribbean, we hired a bird guide for a day when the ship was in port to take us birding throughout the the Yucatan area. I don't recall the exact, but anyway, it was, we hired the guy. His name was German.
Yeah,
wonderful bird guide.
Yeah, and he was also, if I remember correctly, he was also a coral conservationist for the area.
Yeah, marine biologist, Dr. German, who was gardening coral to save the coral reefs of the Caribbean islands.
Yeah, that was my first real introduction to birding, and was absolutely incredible. Two more. What do you think in general about Wingspan the bird game? Wingspan the board game, because I know you're a player.
Oh yeah.
So as a player and a birder, what do you feel about the game?
I actually really am a passionate Wingspan player. We play my wife and I play every week. We play 3 games. And we're over 800 games played in the last year and a half. And I found that it's very realistic. You can learn things about birds from Wingspan as far as what is their habitat, what are their food sources, what are their nesting types.
There's a card where if you play a cuckoo, you can take an egg from another bird and put it on the cuckoo's card. little bitty like gameplay mechanics that also carry over into zoology.
Sure.
Or oology, whatever the study of eggs is. But
well,
yeah,
the brown-headed cowbird, they lay their eggs in another bird's nest, and then they allow that other bird to raise their young for them. So if you're playing the game, you'll notice that there is no nest type for a brown-headed cowbird, or the bronze cowbirds, any of them, because that's their.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Super cool. I actually had not picked that up about the cowbird. And then last question, and probably the most open-ended of the questions. If you were to encounter yourself before you started birding, what advice would you give to yourself as a novice birder?
Latch on to somebody who knows birding. Buy a couple of books about birds, their habitats and stuff. Get a good guidebook and study those to know what the birds' habitats and habits are, because I found that I wasted a lot of time, especially in trying to photograph birds, just going around and looking for them and not understanding their habitats, not understanding their food sources. But once I learned what they like to eat and where they like to live and what kind of nests they built and where they built their nests, then I started to be able to find the birds themselves too. And I think that's probably the one thing I struggled with initially, was not knowing anybody that was a real birder, and two, not preparing myself as you would for any other hobby. I mean, if you're going to go fishing, obviously you learn what the fish like to eat in the area where you're going to go. Well, if you're going to go birding, it's the same thing. You need to know a bird's habits. You need to know their food source and that type of thing. And then, of course, what is their migratory patterns? Where are they going to be when they're going to be there? So that was a lot of it for me as I stumbled through all of that. And had I known all that when I started, I would be, I'm sure, miles ahead of where I am now.
Sure. I mean, like you related it to like fishing. Like anyone can go out with a fishing pole and toss a hook with a worm on it into water. But the difference in being someone who is fishing and a fisherman is information, right? Knowledge, knowing where the fish will feed, knowing water temperature, depth, what bait to use, what bait not to use, how much weight you'll need for the line or the pole. Like,
exactly.
As opposed to just being someone who is birding. To be a birder also comes with this encumbrance of requiring knowledge.
Exactly. And that the information from the guidebooks, a few books out of a bookstore about how to bird, and about birds themselves will really make a difference. And it'll make it more enjoyable.
I bet, yeah. I mean, anytime you embrace like this kind of like studious nature about something and create, like, you're almost kindling a passion in yourself for a passion that you are trying to pursue. Like, exactly. By studying so much, you're taking all of this information in, filling yourself with this desire to want to do more with that information.
Exactly. It's and then, as you know, when I come out to different areas and visit with people, I always study all the birds and find out what birds are going to be there when I go there, because part of my trip is being selfish to myself, and that's allowing me to go birding in a different environment,
And you did this to me as well, because as soon as we hit Hawaii the first time we went for our anniversary a couple years back, the first thing I purchased was a book that was The Birds of Hawaii. So
it's infectious, isn't it?
It is definitely infectious. But thank you so much for your time, answering the questions. Listeners, this was Mr. Cordincore, birder, photographer extraordinaire. Again, you can find him at www.cnk, the letters CNK and K, digitalimages.com. Incredible calendars and incredible photography. I've got 2 of them hanging in my office, and his calendar stays in both our house and our lab at work every year. So check him out, and thank you again.
Thank you. It was awesome talking to you.